Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are slowly ascending that mountain that will put them back in position in the college football playoff, one win at a time. But the task on Saturday could prove to be tricky, right before a game in which the Notre Dame Fighting Irish find themselves not only in a storied intercoastal rivalry, but they also find themselves at the heart of their college football playoff lives. Want to find out how that battle with NC State took place and if it was a trap game? Stay tuned to find out on Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Thank you all so much for joining us here on this edition of Talk Like a Champion. Of course, you're talking with the one and only Mr. CeeLo. And guys, I must tell you, I am somewhat impressed, but then again, I am also a little bit disappointed in how the Irish were unable to once again do what they needed to do in a game in which it looked as though the Notre Dame Fighting Irish were just going to dominate this football game, and unfortunately it was not to be the case, even though the score would say otherwise. But as you guys know, we did get the job done. I must say, a lot of people would say Marcus Freeman could say we were being like, the LSU fans and the media in that response when he went off that night saying that we won the game in dominant fashion and so on and so forth. But I'm not that type of media. I am going to say it was an impressive win, but then it wasn't as impressive as it should have been, because ultimately, once again, we're having a game where we're leaving points on the field. And it wasn't all C.J. Carr's fault. Once again, Jadarian Price had a ball that was put on the ground. We definitely have to clean those things up, because ultimately, we're finding our footing against the less than stellar opponents or opposition. But ultimately, as a friend of the show's once said, we have to be able to handle the bigger dogs or the bigger opponents. We look at that game against Miami and we can say, hey, we've gotten better, but then again, so has Miami. Attrition sets in, and needless to say, this is a situation where which team is healthier at the end also wins. Just want to go ahead and throw it out there that Ashton Craig, our starting center, was injured in this game. So we're going to have to take on this USC powerhouse offense without arguably one of our best players in Ashton Craig. Because look, center is not a position that you can take lightly, Irish Nation. It's very important. And the way this run game has been opening up holes, you have to be able to make adjustments. And I don't think Marcus Freeman has named a starter yet. But as I said, I will be doing another show before the week is up and be able to get you guys as much info as I possibly can. But that's a huge blow. And needless to say, when you look at the way we ran the football, Jadarian Price had 15 carries, 86 yards, but that big fumble near the goal line. Jeremiah Love, 18 carries, 86 yards, 2 scores. And Tyler Buckner had a big play on 4th down. Now, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk about this now. I get it. You want to get some reps on your fourth down play calls, but it concerns me when you use fourth down on teams that are not heavy type competition. I get it. Marcus Freeman's been one of those guys. He's always wanted to roll the dice. Very creative with the fourth downs is his coaching staff. They don't get enough credit. And it's great that Marcus Freeman hires these guys and has them ready as far as when we get into a fourth down situation. But ultimately, I'm only okay with doing this because we may need it later on, and we need to get game time reps on it. And we've done different fourth down plays every single year, and I think it's awesome. I think it's phenomenal that you work on these things and you really take special teams seriously. And probably one of the few things that I totally 100% agree with Tyler Wojak of Locked on Irish and several of the other podcasters. But one thing I don't agree on with a lot of these podcasters is that we need to run Jeremiah Love as much as we run him. I get it. Jadarian Price is having issues with the ball at times, but that's where we are now. You know, a lot of people are they're going to attack the ball now, and Jadarian's going to get that figured out. I think ultimately what he needs to do is keep two hands on it. But needless to say, guys, let's just call it what it is. When teams see you're having problems, they're going to go after you. And that's a situation where, hey, look, we can't stop him this way. Let's see if we can't get in his head and have him thinking more about the ball. Good strategy. I mean, fumbles happen to any running back. I mean, hell, look at Derrick Henry. If you guys watch the NFL, he went 3 games and 3 fumbles. Look, the way Jadarian Price combats that is to hang on to the ball, get it where he's gripping it tight when he gets to a point where he's about to take contact. I know people are saying, well, that's supposed to be obvious, but it's not always obvious. And then you get some defenses, they emphasize that. And I think that's what you're going to see going forward. More teams saying, hey, look, let's just focus on punching it out. And what's going to happen is Jadarian's going to decide to either keep going and cover the ball up, or he's just going to go down. So that works in the defense's hands either way. And now a lot of people are going to say, how's it working in their hands if they're getting more yardage? Well, it's making him more conscious of where he is, and as well as going down or making a business decision, if you will. Once again, and I'm going to say this as plain and stern as I can possibly say it, we have some of the best receivers in the country. I don't care what anybody has to say, because the reality of it is we didn't trust the receivers that we had when Sam Hartman was here, because, of course, Sam Hartman did have his issues at times with reads. And then the conservative play calling. I've always said that was an issue. And then, of course, you have Riley Leonard, who's very limited with his ability to throw the ball, or so we thought. But I am in love with C.J. Carr. I mean, and I'm hearing so many people saying the receivers are playing better. No, C.J. Carr's a quarterback that actually can get the ball down the field. When are you guys going to start saying that it was the quarterback position and not the receivers? You got national audiences, national podcasters, national, sports analysts saying it was receivers. Receivers are only as good as the quarterback throwing the football. I don't know how many times I can make this clear for any of you. You can only be as good as the quarterback that's tossing you the ball. And C.J. Carr can absolutely spin it, and now he is finally getting some national attention. All I can say is I hope that this national attention puts him in an even more beautified spot. And what I mean by that is the spotlight is now going to be garnered to him. I will tell anybody, Mike Denbrock, Marcus Freeman, you guys did this team a huge injustice when you did not turn C.J. Carr loose. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, that even goes to the Texas A&M game. A lot of people are going to say, yeah, he had a great game, but you still restricted him. And like I said before, the 40 points we scored, I'm going to be honest with you, you were still trying to hold back C.J. Carr. Now all of a sudden you're ready to unleash him. I'm hoping against all hopes that C.J. Carr is not held down against SC, because that passing attack, that pass defense they have, not very good. Now, maybe it's because when teams get behind, that's what they have to do. And the same could be said for Notre Dame. Granted, there's things that they can be weak on, but I'm not going to get into the USC game yet. I want to stick with what CJ Carr did. Now, his numbers, accuracy to completion, are not very great. He was 19 of 31, 342, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Now, a lot of those were just deep shot misses. And ultimately, he did throw an interception, but he threw 2 touchdowns. And Will Pauling had a game. But you can't say Will Pauling without a guy whom I am just ecstatic has finally gotten going. And that is the big monstrous 6'7" Eli Raridon. 7 catches, 109 yards, but he didn't get a touch. That's okay. In comes Will Pauling and KK Smith. Another name. Now, the only thing I'm worried about with KK Smith is, do you guys remember Tobias Merriweather? I don't want this to be a situation that is just like the Tobias Merriweather situation where you have a guy who is a deep threat like KK Smith. You don't use him and he transfers because he had 3 catches for 59 yards, including that 31-yard score, for a touchdown. Almost had a second, but there was a miss by CJ Carr. See, those are the little things. I'm not mad at CJ Carr, but I hope, guys, y'all just don't know. I'm admitting, as a Kenny Minchie fan, I am glad they made this choice because now it covers the entire football field. CJ Carr does that. And the other thing I love about him, he ain't scared. He ain't scared. Whereas in the past, you had, and this is where I would say one knock on Kenny Minchie is he was scared to take the deep shot. CJ Carr ain't scared. I will take the interception if I'm going to get this. 342 yards. I'd like to get the 342 without the interception, of course. But when you're running for 143 yards as a team and then you add this up, this ain't no joke. And looking at Ohio State, looking at Oregon, looking at Illinois, looking at Indiana, looking at Alabama, looking at Georgia, I like our chances. Now, granted, you would love to have a quarterback that can move and be able to throw exactly like CJ Carr. That is what your dream is, because ultimately, a quarterback that can throw it down the field is so dangerous. This is why I was so against having Riley Leonard last year, and I get it. He's coming rehabbing an injury, and I think the way he looked against Ohio State, you could have argued he would have been a much better passer had he been able to come to spring camp. You could argue, because ultimately in that national championship game, that throw he made to Greathouse, a beaut. An absolute beaut. But what I love about CJ Carr is if his guys get behind and he's already 30 yards down the field, CJ Carr can get him there. Now, I will admit there's been some balls underthrown, but with quarterbacks in the past, CJ Carr has been the one guy that has been willing to take that chance. And as long as he takes the chance, a lot of times you got guys like Eli Raridon, Will Pauling, KK Smith, Jordan Faison, as well as Malachi Fields that are just going to absolutely love this guy. I can tell you right now, these receivers love him. Jaden Greathouse once again was out with an injury, but I can tell you he's one guy who hopes he can finally get the football. Because at the end of this this was a guy that I said was going to have a breakout season because of the fact that they're going to have to throw the football more, and he hasn't had that yet. But just wait. You just wait. We don't have that to worry about. I can tell you right now, I am ecstatic that we have CJ Carr on this team and in this program. He is going to be the guy that keeps Notre Dame winning from years to come, because now they're seeing that Notre Dame is figuring out how to balance the attack. The question is, how long will Mike Denbrock stay here? When will he be gone? Once again, looking at this football team and seeing just how dangerous it is and how many weapons that it has. Now, granted, only 5 guys caught the football on Saturday. As a whole for the season, I think I heard a graphic that Notre Dame has 8 guys on the roster with 5 catches or more. Incredible. And all of that's because of CJ Carr. And of course, Mike Denbrock. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's time that Notre Dame start opening that cupboard and start getting some of these other guys the ball. We're going to have some favorable matchups where we need to start undressing some of those toys. Take those toys out of the cupboard and let's put them out there and let's see what they can do. I'm just going to be honest with you. I thought the way the season was going to go, we were going to win the first 2 games. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price were going to be used sparingly and win these games. But as we see it now, the best thing could have happened to us was we lost those 2 games. You want to know why? Now we get to see some of the most exciting football that we have seen in years. And we've got to put up points. But let's shift to the defense. I got to say this because a lot of people are questioning Chris Ash about this game against USC. They're questioning him. I'm just telling you, Irish Nation, there are people that are doubting us putting the smackdown on USC simply because of Chris Ash's defense. Now, I will say this. You're seeing more of the Chris Ash blitz program, and with a little bit of Marcus Freeman and a little bit of Al Golden mixed in there. But when you can come up and you can finish off with 4 sacks and several tackle for losses, you're seeing a defense that is flying all over the field. And then a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've put Tay Johnson in the starting rotation. And when you look at Kingston Villamauasa, who is now one of the starters, who had also added 6 tackles and just absolutely an aggressive linebacker. And see, I don't like the word violent. I don't like when I see that. I think the question should be the word should be aggression. We're seeing an aggressive Notre Dame defense. Very hard-hitting, aggressive style type defense. And when you look at what coming into this game, NC State analysts as well as Notre Dame analysts said that the guy we had to slow down, Hollywood Smothers, my mistake, 67 total yards of offense, receiving and running. And then we shut down the NC State run game at 51. C.J. Bailey had 186 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Once again, you're looking at a defense in Adon Schuler, KVA, as well as Carson Hobbs. These guys are ball hawking. And I think the addition of KVA and Tay Johnson into that defense has just made them faster and more aggressive and assertive. And I'm going to be honest with you. People are going to say, okay, well, look at Miami. They've gotten better. Texas A&M, but Texas A&M has had a lot of close calls. And I'm just going to be honest with you. When you're seeing teams and they haven't gotten into their tendencies yet, you become a different football team. Notre Dame is nowhere near the team that they were when they played week 1 against Miami. Miami was flying by the seat of their pants. Notre Dame was flying by the seat of their pants in that Miami game. And see, now you're looking at a team that has almost established this identity. Now, a lot of people are saying, I won't be a believer in this defense until I see what they can do against USC. That's fine. That is fine. But I honestly sit and I say to myself, I'm hearing people talk about what Notre Dame did against NC State is just nothing. But then people don't look at this game and say, this was a team that was just dropping points like a cash register. Well, a rusty cash register. And as I said, you leave 2 scores on the board. One being that one that C.J. Carr should have thrown up in the end zone on 4th down instead of just going out of bounds. I mean, ultimately, I think the only weakness this Notre Dame team has is 4th down. And this is what Kedron Young probably would have been the guy that we needed to have. And honestly, the freshman, the big Audric Estime clone, if you will, I say he's more like P.J. Hill more than anything else. Or maybe, more like P.J. Hill. But this is a dude that when he comes back next year, if Notre Dame decides not to retain Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, this will be a dude that in short yardage situations, defenses will have a nightmare trying to stop. But I don't want to take away from this defense because ultimately they've played exceptional ball. I mean, when you look at the fact that this is the team that was giving up high 300-yard games passing, and then they're holding down Arkansas's offense, which was throwing up points. And then C.J. Bailey of the North Carolina State passing game. And then a guy like Hollywood Smothers, who has been balling out against darn near everyone. That says a lot. And you ultimately have to give this Irish defense its props. But however, Irish Nation, if you're listening, we need to get the word out to the D. Guys like KVA, gotta bring it. Tay Johnson, this might be your opportunity to have your Xavier Watts moment, or your coming out party. All those plays that you make in practice, time to make them count in the game. This is your big stage. This is the game where a bunch of Notre Dame defensive players are going to, especially in the secondary, are going to get their chance to have their coming out party. We saw Christian Gray get absolutely torched last year, but what did he do? He showed them. He had the last laugh. Xavier Watts had a last laugh. Y'all are going to have to stay strong. Let me know what you guys think. Guys, make sure you comment below and tell me what you think about NC State Wolfpack. And make sure you go over to Facebook and add the group Talk Like a Champion, as well as the Facebook page Talk Like a Champion, so you can catch up with the things that we will be talking about and stay in the conversation. Finally, make sure you go to Instagram. Follow me over there at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all the things and shenanigans that I will be caught up with during the season. One more thing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification over here at YouTube so that you can so that every time I have a show that comes out, you will have first time access. Until we meet again. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.